Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bracken Buzz podcast. I am your host, Colin Jarrell, and today I am sitting down with the inspiration behind this podcast, none other than the Anna Cummins. Tell everyone hello, Anna.
Hello.
Woohoo!
It's good to be here with you today.
First off, I want to thank you, Anna, for actually volunteering to be on an episode with me. Full transparency for anybody listening, when Anna approached me about hosting this thing, she said I have a face for radio and I don't have a voice for it. So it made me think she did not want to have anything to do with it. So I'm glad that you're seeing how this goes.
Well, we had so much fun when you brought the equipment over and we kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
tested it out.
Yeah.
That I thought I could actually do it after that,
Yes.
just for fun.
Yes, yeah. So today we will be diving into some history of Bracken County. So Anna, you actually compiled this information with help from the Bracken County Historical Society, right?
That's right. I went up there, talked to the ladies that work at the Historical Society, and if you've never been there, you really should go. They've got tons of interesting information there, lots of artifacts. It was just, I could spend weeks there. I think you could. And so it was really interesting too.
Yeah, and they're now at the Haley House Museum, right? All stuff is over there.
All stuff is over there, except for some of I think there's still some records over at the old courthouse. But, I mean, they've got books for different families there. So if you want to research your family history, you can go up there, and they've already got a lot of things already recorded. So it's just, I don't know. It's a great place. If you haven't been there, you need to go.
Yeah, great place for history buffs like you, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's dive in and let's get started. So the county seat of Bracken County has actually changed several times over the years between Augusta and Brooksville. And that's probably the source of the Augusta and Brooksville rivalry that has been around for many, many years, I would say.
I think so.
Yeah, so Brooksville was once called Woodward's Crossroads. It was named after two brothers who came from Germantown around 1800, William and Joel Woodward. So their homes still stand today. One of them is on Miami Street, generally called the Ware Hotel. It's right up from the subway, and the other corner is Miami Street and Taylor Elementary Drive, also a hotel at times. That's really interesting to me. I did not know that we had two that were hotels.
Exactly. You didn't know Bracken County had such tourism back in the 1800s. But, there were stops. They were stops along the way. I've heard Philip talk about his great-grandfather driving cattle from Pendleton County toward Maysville. And he would stop along the way. I think his actual stop was in Germantown because they had a pen where you could corral the cattle at night. But anyway, people were traveling, even horse and buggy back in those days. They had to have some place to stay. So, yeah. So
court was actually held in the second hotel that was mentioned when the current courthouse was being built. In 1839, David Brooks, a state representative at the time, proposed to locate the county seat at Woodward's Crossroads, and then it was decided to rename it to Brooksville in honor of him. That's really interesting. I didn't know the name behind Brooksville, so that's interesting.
David Brooks, who is related to Jack Brooks.
Okay.
I think that's his great-great-grandfather, Nurse Kim. Everybody knows
Nurse
Nurse Kim.
Yes,
Nurse
Kim
Elementary.
Piggins. Oh, yes.
She was a Brooks. So, and Miss Hopper, who was the principal at
Oh, yes. Yeah, Ray
Taylor
Jean.
Elementary.
Yes. Yeah.
She was a Brooks. So, yeah, all related to them. Well, did you also know that our little burg of Berlin might win the award for changing names the most times of any little town in Bracken County? It was first called Pleasant Ridge, established around 1844. A guy named Owen McClanahan, and I'm assuming that's probably the McClanahans that live, still in that area. And he was the postmaster. But then in 1859, it was renamed Berlin by the new postmaster, Samuel Lennox. Then in October of that year, it was coined Hagensville. And that was after a family named Hagen that lived in the area. Then after that, it was back to Berlin again. Then a couple of years later, back to Hagensville. Then back to Berlin. Then back to Hagensville. And finally, in 1868, it was back to Berlin. It's kind of remained that to this day.
Yeah. Who knew there were so many name changes in Berlin?
Yeah.
Just a small little town.
Well, and actually it's not a church anymore, but the cemetery where you go back to Reagan
Oh, yeah,
Galloway's
yeah.
place. That is actually the Pleasant Ridge Church there.
Hmm. I did
So,
not know that.
yeah,
I've passed that many, many times, and I had no idea.
that was a church back in the day.
Wow. So, did you also know that Bracken County was once a leading wine producer in the United States? Now, this is a fact that I actually did know because I interviewed for a position at the Baker Bird Winery.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know
I ended up
that.
not taking it. I was interviewing to be a tour guide when I was 14, I think, and I ended up not doing it just because it wouldn't work with my schedules. But this was something that Dinah made sure that people knew on
Yes.
the tour, and I think that's really interesting. But according to the Augusta Times Bicentennial Edition, during the 1870s, Bracken was the leading wine producing county in the United States, producing 36,000 gallons annually. That's crazy to me.
I
So
did.
much can come from little old Bracken County.
Yeah, think about that. Now, I'm assuming the grapes grew around here
Yeah,
then. I
yeah.
mean, I don't know where, and I've heard. I didn't research this fact, but I heard there was a blight that actually kind of wiped out the grapes, and that's kind of what happened to
Hmm.
the wine
Wow.
production. That might, that might be incorrect.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just all hearsay.
Yeah,
But we'll go with it.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. We're just guessing on some things. Who knows?
No, not most of this. I did research.
So the current Baker Bird Winery was the actual first building in the county to be named to the National Register of Historic Places. It was built by Abraham Baker, and the limestone for the building was mined locally. That's really interesting to me.
I've never been there. I want to go to the Baker Bird Winery.
Yeah,
They say it's beautiful.
I've done a tour, and the only time that I've done the tour was when I was training to be a tour guide. So I'm sure things have changed since I was 14. So
They've won some awards recently
they
for their
have,
wine
yes,
too. So,
yes, national and global awards for wine,
yeah.
which is incredible. That
Yeah.
so much greatness can come from Bracken County.
Well, we knew it. We know the
Oh yeah,
greatness,
we
but-
know it's great. Everybody should love us.
Well, I've got another fun fact for you. Did you know that at one time there were 54 schools in the county?
This I did not. This is crazy to me.
Well, if you look back at old pictures, there's a lot of little schools. Each little community had their school because people were walking to school. But they were one-room schoolhouses, and most every little community had one. In about, I think it was 1939, schools were consolidated, though, into Milford, Brooksville, Western, and Germantown. And that was only to the 8th grade. There was only one high school in Brooksville back years ago. Anyway, Milford was closed in 1959, and Western and Germantown were closed in 87. That's when we consolidated, when Bracken County Middle School was built. And we had 2 Catholic schools in the county. Over the years, with St. James being organized in 1877, but it closed in the 1960s. And St. Augustine also had a school for preschool through 8-2, but it's recently closed. I couldn't find out when when St. Augustine was open, but I bet it was probably around the late 1800s as well.
Yeah.
And another fun fact,
Wow.
I attended kindergarten in the old St. James school building.
Oh.
And my class was the first kindergarten class in Bracken County.
Wow.
They didn't have kindergarten before then.
Wow.
And if your birthday was the first half of the year, January to like June, you went the first semester. If your birthday was in the latter half of the year, all those kids went the second semester. So.
Wow. Well, that wasn't too long ago, Anna. What was that? The 1990s?
But we weren't scratching on a piece of slate with a stick, but it would have been about 1967, 8, something like
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Majo Flahar was the teacher, and Miss Jerry Commodore was the aide. So, yeah.
Wow. 54 schools in the county at one point. That's just crazy. That is wild. So this next fact is actually pretty close to you and your family.
Oh, yeah.
Your son Stephen was like, oh yeah, the white burley. So Bracken County is credited with the creation of a variety of tobacco known as white burley. It was the spring of 1864 when 2 tenant farmers crossed the Ohio River from Higginsport to George Barclay's farm near Augusta to acquire some seed. But they destroyed the seeds the first year because it looked so much different from the current plants they were used to growing. The next year, George Webb sowed more of the seeds, and this time he let them grow. This new freakish tobacco caused a stir in the neighborhood, and when cured, it was a delicate brown, and experts reported that it smoked better. So Webb's tobacco was consigned in Cincinnati and brought an excellent price. It also won first and second prizes for cutter leaf at the St. Louis Fair in 1867. So who knew that we were credited with the creation of white burley? I did not.
Yes. Well, I've known that for a while.
I did not know that.
I didn't realize exactly where the land it was grown on, but the Gayharts own the land right now. It's right down there, off of number 8, and right across the river from Higginsport, Ohio. So it's amazing to me that tobacco went all the way to St. Louis for some sort of fair that it was,
award winning. Yeah,
exactly. It's crazy to me that tobacco is the one. Not that I'm advocating that anybody start using tobacco. I'm not. But it was the one commodity that the colonies were able to sustain on. When they came, they tried glass making. They tried several different types of things that they could export back to England. And tobacco is the one thing that pulled them through.
Yeah.
So, and of course, we've had a huge decline in tobacco in the last few years. It's kind of like the dairy business. We don't have very many dairy farmers in the county either, but it's a kind of a way of life. It's not necessarily that anybody likes smoking or wants people to smoke, but it's the way of life that's declining.
Well, many had switched over to hemp several years ago, and that did not
go.
That did not go very well for many people, unfortunately.
That did not. We all thought that was going to be
the next big thing.
One thing, but it did not work out.
Yeah.
So
it was not the new tobacco,
no,
for sure.
Absolutely not. Another bit of strange history and happening was reported in the Kentucky Express in 1853 that a bird of extraordinary size and of unknown species was killed in Bracken County by a Mr. A. McDonald. This bird, it seems as though, was 6 feet high, had a wingspan of 7 feet 9 inches, and was white as snow in color. In that same article, it was reported that there was this black snake measuring 15 feet long and 5 inches in diameter, seen on the farm of Mr. James Donovan. And that snake was seen several times the summer prior.
Whew.
Now, if I saw a 15-foot long snake, I'm just telling you.
I'm running away. I'm running away.
Well, I'm going to fix it so nobody else sees him the next summer, okay?
Get a weapon. Get a weapon.
But, to have that reported in 1853, and nobody ever...
Yeah.
I don't...
The same thing for the bird. Could you imagine with a wingspan of almost 8 feet coming at you? Woo.
No. Have you seen an eagle lately?
Oh, yeah.
Around here?
No, not really. No.
Oh, I saw one fly over one morning while I was out walking. And there have been several. I saw some over in Pendleton County. They're more following the river over there. But then there are a lot of people that see them all up and down the Ohio River, too.
Wow.
So they're making a comeback.
They are.
Speaking of large birds.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, my goodness. So another thing is, I think it's pretty common knowledge that Brooksville had a railroad at one point in time. It began about 1879 and ran from Brooksville to Wellsburg and was called the Big Windy. It was located at the bottom of Powell Drive, or Pool Hill, or Depot Hill, as some people call it, that ran behind the old high school, and now the area behind the current Justice Center. It had passenger service that connected to the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad at Wellsburg, but that was discontinued in 1918, and all operations stopped in 1931. It had no room to turn around, but it traveled both ways with the engine always pointing toward Brooksville. So I'm pretty sure the whistle is at the Haley House Museum, so if anybody would want to check that out, you may be able to find it.
I'm pretty sure it's there.
Yeah, so for any Yellowstone fans, we actually do have a railroad. I'm not sure if we have a train station, I don't know if I should make that reference on this podcast, but for anyone
Kind of funny.
interested, we had a railroad at one point in time.
We did. Have you ever been out and heard the train at Wellsburg?
I have not. No.
Oh, you can.
No, I have.
I've heard
I
it.
haven't. I should get out there.
You got to get out at. Well, my last walk at night with letting the dogs out is about 9 or 10 o'clock, and sometimes on a real clear, certain night, you can hear it.
Wow.
I also have heard the one from Falmouth, which is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
That travels. Wow.
True. Well, there's another remarkable discovery that I read about, reported in the New York Times and the Cincinnati Commercial. I guess that was the newspaper down there. And I read it in the book that I purchased. I want to be totally honest, I purchased 4 books while I was at the Haley House Museum because they had such great stuff up there. Anyway, it's about a remarkable discovery, and said, but while these people were out hunting one night on the land of S.K. Veach, which I've never heard of that name, in Bracken County, the dogs suddenly ceased barking, and the party went to a place where they expected to find them, but no dogs were visible. But there was a low rumbling noise that attracted the attention by a small elm tree. So they went over there by that. They could still hear the dogs hundreds of yards away on an adjacent hill. It was dark, so they didn't go on and try to figure out what was going on, but they went back the next morning. It seems that a large flat rock had laid over the mouth of a cave or a cavern there, and the ground had gradually given way and fallen to the floors beneath, some 4 feet perpendicular, and then sloping down gradually at an angle 45 degrees. What they eventually found was a grave in there with, well, it was more like a pedestal that kind of had a skeleton on it. And in the center of the large room was a square built up of rock, which lifted off the ground and had this skeleton that was 11 feet 2 inches high, and some sort of metal cap was on it. But anyway, it was a huge cave that they found, and they thought that they were going to have a cave that would almost rival Mammoth Cave at the time, but it said we will write again more about it later, but I've never heard anything else. So I've got to find out where this Veach person lived, so we can maybe go look for the cave that was there.
Almost the size of Mammoth Cave, it sounds like.
I don't know if they actually, discovered it or went in, but, it just seemed like pretty interesting information.
Yeah. Wow. So I realized I did skip over a point on this page. Oops. So we had talked about Brooksville. So, of course, Augusta was founded by Philip Buckner in 1797 when he donated 600 acres of land for the creation of the town. This is something that I did not know. I didn't know that it was donated land that was turned into a city. I had no idea.
And he got the land because he was in the Revolutionary War. And after the war, there wasn't any currency, and they didn't have a way to pay the people. So they just gave them land.
Wow.
Yes.
I did not realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So the new distillery in Augusta, well, newer-ish. Yes, in Augusta pays homage to him with the Buckner's bourbon. I didn't know that. That's fascinating to me. No,
yes.
This is fascinating. So this, actually, I did know. Augusta had the first college located west of the Allegheny Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
It was by the Methodist. It was funded by the Methodists for several years, and it preceded Augusta Independent.
I think that it doesn't really say that, but I think Augusta Independent School is kind of what grew out of that.
Yeah. And there were several ancient burial grounds uncovered in and around Augusta, and given its proximity to the river, that is understandable.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, several different burial grounds they've found down there over the years.
Yeah.
They have.
Let's see.
Well, I got to tell you this story.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, the Guinness Book of World Records was printed then, and everybody would go to the Guinness Book of World Records to look up this one entry. Did you know that Bracken County is in the Guinness Book of World Records for having a woman in there with the longest beard?
I did not. No, I did not. Is it the original? Is it the original bearded bearded
Yes,
lady?
yes,
Wow.
yes. Her name was Janice, and hope I pronounced this correctly. DeVary, aka Madame DeVary of Bracken County, born around 1842, was the original bearded lady whose facial hair measured 14 inches long in 1884. She passed away in 1912 while on the road with the traveling circus, but she still holds the record today for the longest beard ever grown by a woman. It was reported something else I read, that she earned $500 a week at the height of her career.
Wow.
With the traveling circus,
Wow.
I'm assuming, more than the president
Woo!
at the time.
Wow.
And I also have to say that her maiden name was Persinger, so I feel like she was probably from the Milford area.
Yeah. Persinger family, if you know, confirm. Please confirm.
Exactly. But yeah, everybody would look that up in the Guinness Book of World Records when I was in high school, because it was crazy that Bracken County had an entry in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of all
But the
things.
$500 a week more than the president at the time. I mean that's like entertainers today. I mean musicians.
True. I never thought about it like
and
that.
athletes and anything else. I mean they are paid way more than the president of the United States.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting to me. Who knew that we had so much history in Bracken County?
Well, I just thought it would be fun for the podcast. Most people know about how Bracken County was formed from parts of Mason County and that sort of thing, and most people knew about Buckner and that sort of thing. But I just thought it would be fun to talk about some interesting history of Bracken County that maybe most people didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there's way more.
Oh yeah.
Than what we covered here today, but
yes,
we just kind of picked out some things.
So yes, thank you to the Historical Society and the Haley House Museum for helping Anna get all of that together. If anybody is interested in more history, go check it out there. There is so much stuff there. And like Anna said, she bought 4 books, so you can buy even more than that if you want more history of Bracken County.
Absolutely. Somebody gave me the suggestion about on our podcast, we'll be telling about upcoming events, about things that are going on in the county. And I said, we hadn't thought about that much, but I do think it's a good idea. So I'm going to tell you a few things that are coming up. This Thursday, April 17th, there is an estate farm planning workshop at the Extension office. It's at 6 p.m., and they would prefer for you to call and register, because I think they have a light meal by Monday the 14th. I bet they'll let you register a day or later if you call up there and ask nice. Smoky Ridge will be set up at Donna's Place on Saturday the 19th, selling cupcakes for Easter, so you can get your Easter desserts there. Kindergarten readiness kickoff is April the 27th at 6 p.m. at Taylor Elementary. So if you've got a kindergarten student out there, or getting ready to be a kindergarten student, you're welcome to show up, and there's going to be some fun and interesting information. This Saturday, the Germantown Park is kind of having a non-traditional Easter service. Damien Kendall will be bringing the message. It'll be at 11 o'clock. Bring you a lawn chair.
Yes.
Set up.
Going back to the roots, they say.
Exactly.
An actual community church in a park.
Well, and for some people that maybe don't feel comfortable in a church, or haven't gone to church in a while, this is a way to come back and get a message. And it's out there by the pavilion at the Germantown Park, and you'll be welcome. Bring you a chair. I also read this past week in the paper that the Perkins Manor, formerly the Bracken Center, is now doing outpatient therapy for people. So, if you're recovering from a surgery or an illness, you don't have to go outside of Bracken County now to do your OT, PT, or whatever rehab you're doing.
Yes, that's awesome.
It is.
That's awesome that we have that.
Getting more and more resources in this county, which is a wonderful thing for people.
Yes, absolutely.
The Highway Gourmet is having its grand opening April the 19th at 11 a.m., located in the big town of Gertrude.
Oh, yes, yes. Scott Cider.
Yes.
Shout out to owner Scott Cider.
Absolutely.
I think their major thing that they're selling is hot dogs. and you can customize your hot dog with all kinds of different toppings, different ways, and they have a lot on their menu. Make sure to check them out on Facebook for
Okay.
sure. Yes.
The Highway Gourmet.
Yes.
Um, the extension office is doing their spring Make It and Take It event on April 22nd, 23rd. You can either paint a flower box for $40 or do a door hanger for $30. They would like for you to register by April the 16th so they can, have all the things prepared and ready for you to do that. So you can go up and paint you a new door hanger. April 16th is the monthly Lunch and Learn at the Extension office, but sponsored by the Bracken County Health Department. This month, they're talking about learning and developmental milestones and how First Steps can help you out with that if you need that. So you need to register by April 15th to attend. Tara Kerrigan sent me a message. She's going to be doing a autism awareness event with her exercise group on April 21st. That's on a Monday. That's located in the old Hex building over in Maysville. And all proceeds raised will go to the Imagination Foundation, which was previously known as a league of their own.
That's an awesome fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can go get, in shape all at the same time.
Oh, yes.
It's some sort
absolutely.
of cardio, jazzercise.
Yes.
I don't know. I'll let you read the last one.
Okay. And then, of course, on April 19th, they are having the Stephanie Hamilton Memorial Easter Bunny Breakfast from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Watson Building. This will be $8 per person, and children 12 and up and down. 12 and under will be free with an adult. So make sure to get out and support that. I know that was something that Stephanie loved doing. Easter was her holiday for sure.
Was it her favorite holiday?
I believe so, yes. Yeah. If you asked any of her friends, they would probably say yes. She loved getting everybody dressed up in the Easter Bunny costume or herself in the Easter Bunny costume, which don't tell the kids. Oops. The Easter Bunny is real, everyone. They are. They have helpers. And Stephanie was definitely a big one for the Easter Bunny. Yes. And then another thing that I did want to mention, make sure the Community Impact Awards for the Bracken County Chamber of Commerce is on Friday, May 16th. Tickets are on sale right now. So check them out on Facebook. Get the link, $40 a person. This will be a catered event at Fairview Christian Church with a meal by our own award-winning neighbor of you and me. Yes. Stacy Jett. She will be catering an amazing meal. So make sure to come out and recognize some people who have made significant contributions. And Anna, you were actually nominated for Citizen of the Year, named after Stephanie Hamilton. So you and everyone in that category is incredible, and you have done so much for the community. So this podcast is just another reason why we all should love you, Anna. And thank you so much for being on. Yes.
I was going to say something now. Like always, it's left my mind. But anyway.
Well, do you have any other closing thoughts?
I know what I was going to ask you. Where can they get their tickets for the...
Oh, yes.
Besides online, if they don't have that.
Yes, the tickets, contact any of the board members. So I'm a board member, Janet Hunt, Heather Brumley. Contact any of us or visit the Augusta City office. That is where the tourism office is, and that's where Janet is, and she can get you set up, and we can get you registered for that. We want to make it as big as possible so that we can recognize all the amazing people that were nominated for awards. So, yeah, check it out. Check it out.
I'm kind of excited. I'm looking for my dress.
Oh, it's like prom. It's like prom for adults. This is going to be great.
This is worse than the prom for me because, to tell the truth, the first prom I went to, I borrowed a dress. That's unheard of in these days.
Oh.
My friend, it's true. Prom was not that big a deal like it is now.
I don't know if it is still a big deal. I don't know.
Oh,
I
I
didn't
think
go
it
to my
is.
senior prom, so people will say that I'm a party pooper.
I'm
So,
so surprised.
well, I went to my sophomore and my junior prom.
How did you go
Well,
to
well, I went to junior prom.
Okay.
I went with a junior to
To
yeah,
when you
as
were
a
a
sophomore.
sophomore,
Yes,
okay.
as a sophomore. So by the time I got to senior year, I was just kind of tired
You're
out.
prommed out.
Yeah, I was prommed out. I was prommed out. But I love that people still get dressed up for it, and they still have the viewing at the high school, and you come in and you find all your fancy cars or your big dump trucks that you clean off, and I
Exactly.
love it. I love it. It's great.
I think probably Bracken County is one of the only places where the students still decorate their
Mm-hmm.
high school gymnasium to have their
Yes.
prom in.
Yeah.
Most people, most other schools, they go
Mm-hmm.
someplace.
Yes. Yeah. Many
So it's
people.
pretty unique in that
Yeah.
way too.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. There's a couple schools in northern Kentucky, I think, that do it at Paycor Stadium.
Paycor Stadium?
Yes. Yeah.
I did not know
Paycor
that.
Stadium. I had gone on a tour there a couple of years ago, and they were getting ready for, I think, Cooper. Cooper was having their prom there.
Oh
And
wow.
that's really interesting to me. But yes, I'm like you. I like that Bracken County still decorates our own gym, and students can still spend time in the school.
And I don't think any other place, does the community come out and watch
Mm-hmm.
as the prom goers arrive.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's pretty unique to Bracken County as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's a historical thing, tying it into the history. That's been going on for years.
true,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Well, Colin, it's been great talking to you. Like I said, this was more fun than I thought it would be. I thought it would be kind of nerve-wracking, but I don't know. It's just like sitting down and talking with a good friend.
Yes. Well, thank you for being on here.
Yep.
Yes. This was really interesting. This was great.
Well,
Very informative. I hope it was very informative for anybody listening. This was great.
yeah,
So
I
thank
agree.
you so much, Anna.
Good luck on all the rest of them.
Yes, we'll be getting
I'll be
another
listening.
episode soon. I don't know who it's going to be yet. It will be a surprise, but we'll line something up and
Oh,
see
a couple
what
of people
happens.
asked me, how often are you going to try to do the podcast?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm a busy guy, as you know, when we were trying to schedule this episode. So I'm going to try to get it out monthly.
Okay.
If not, maybe a couple times a month, depending on freeness and that type of thing. The
Yeah.
summer months are a little freer.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that I can maybe squeeze some more in then. So,
Perfect.
but yeah, I'll be contacting some people to see if they want to get lined up to be on the show, and I'll bring my show on the road to them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'll tell them how much fun it was.
Oh yes.
You
Oh
can
yeah.
get some more.
If Anna can do it, anybody can do it,
That
guys.
is so true. So true.
Well, thank you, Anna. Everybody give Anna a big round of applause.
Woohoo! You're very welcome. It has been my pleasure.
Yes. Well, this has been the second episode of the Bracken Buzz podcast. I hope this was a very informative history episode for you and that you learned a lot. So make sure to keep an eye out for episodes coming in the future. But for now, I'm your host, Colin Gerald, signing out of the Bracken Buzz podcast.